CGTN San Francisco.
For more now on this backlash against Tesla, I'm joined by Thomas Hayes, founder, chairman, and managing member of Great Hill Capital. Thomas, welcome to the show. Great having you.
Thank you.
I want to know, do you think Musk as a brand, is it losing its shine?
Well, look, outside of Tesla, in the United States, you can't give away an EV vehicle. So when we compare registrations of Tesla year on year, what we're not doing is comparing registrations of EVs in Ford, in GM, in Porsche, in Mercedes. They're all down. The whole future of the EV game is going to be in China because the Chinese government has mandated it and subsidized it. So the whole game moving forward prospectively in terms of big volumes is China. And what we find is that they've fallen behind a little bit. His brands need a refresh. The styling needs a refresh. But the technology is certainly there. And I do think when we look back a year to 2 years down the road, this is going to be a short-term blip. You never bet against Elon Musk.
Which kind of refresh? How do you think this refresh should look?
Well, look, it's tired. I mean, he specifically designed the cars to have long duration so he could reduce manufacturing costs. But at some point in time, there are cars on the road that look better than Teslas. You've been seeing the same thing, excluding the Cybertruck, which is new, but more of a niche market. You need to see an uplift with the lights and with the styling, et cetera. As far as the technology, in the U.S., it's the most superior EV that there is. In China, when you're competing against companies like BYD and NIO, et cetera, you really need to up your game. And I think maybe they've fallen a little bit behind. Maybe he's rested a little bit on his laurels. But again, Musk is someone that's never going to sit back and take a loss. He's going to come back fighting, and he will have the technology that people want and maybe supersede it when we talk about full self-driving, when we talk about robo-taxis, when we talk about humanoid robots. I would be surprised if in the next month to 2 months you didn't see him come out with a massive announcement, either technology related or he's got cash on the balance sheet. He could really take a lot of shorts out and say we're announcing a big buyback. But when people say the stock has collapsed, I think that's a red herring. I mean, really all that's happened is he got an unnatural bounce after the election because of his alignment with Trump, and it's back to where it was right before the election. So effectively, no change in the last few months.
I see. But Thomas, which kind of links do you see between Musk's political activities and his company's business performance, not only in the U.S., but also abroad, right?
Yeah, well, look, it certainly has affected him in registrations in France are down 26% year on year, Germany down 76% year on year. But the fact of the matter is EV registrations in those areas are also down. The area where he's probably is more worrisome than the West, where EVs have kind of lost their short-term momentum, is in China, where he's short-term losing share because some of the competition is stiffer, in particularly against companies like BYD, in particular with some of the rocky relations. There is some level of wanting to buy national brands in China. I do think that after the meeting, potential summit between Xi and Trump, if they can forge a nice trade deal in coming months, I think that could be also a boost for Tesla and many American businesses as well.
I see. And could you give me like a better view of how Tesla stands in the face of growing competition by Chinese manufacturers, not only in China, but around the world?
Yeah, listen, I think in China for sure, Tesla registrations were down 49% year on year. So there's definitely stiff competition, and he's going to have to up his game, refresh the models, improve the technology. He says full self-driving is coming by 2026, and he'll get there. I mean, no one has ever out-designed him over extended period of time. Maybe they'll have a short-term jump, but by and large, in the U.S., since the beginning of EVs, the same people that are dumping their Tesla cars because they're upset about Doge are the same people who wanted to mandate that every American has to buy an EV just 2 years ago. You can't make this stuff up. So there's some short-term noise. Look, what he's doing with Doge in terms of cutting costs. Look, when you cut the fat, the pigs are going to squeal. That's just the way it works. But as it relates to car sales, the number one thing you can do is lower interest rates, and Doge is going to do just that. As we get our fiscal spending under control, we're going to see the 10-year yield come in, which we've seen it come in 60 basis points. That's going to help not only mortgages, it's going to help car loans over time. And the short-term dislocation has also put the Fed back in play. Lower rates equals more car sales. And in America, if you're going to buy an EV, you're really going to buy a Tesla if you want the quality. Internationally, he's going to have to up his game to compete with some of the innovations in BYD and NIO, and I wouldn't put it past him. He will not fall asleep at the wheel.
And do you see, looking forward, looking into the long term, do you see alternatives for Tesla after this slump that you see right now?
Alternatives meaning other companies taking share, or alternatives
other companies,
meaning Tesla
other businesses expanding it? What's next for Tesla? Because mobility, the nature of mobility is going to change dramatically in the next few years, especially when we think about artificial intelligence, robotics, and so on.
100%. Look, he has more data than any other company. So yes, you have the full self-driving. You also have the robo-taxi. You also have the humanoid robots. So there's a lot, and the AI, as you mentioned. I mean, just his Grok product is phenomenal. If you've actually used it for I've used it for certain business applications. It outshines ChatGPT on many fronts from my standpoint. So again, you can never count out Elon Musk. And this is one step back, probably for 6 steps forward. So for people who own the stock, you probably want to hang in there. It's effectively no change since before the election. New people looking at the company, I would say, let's get through some of the short-term volatility. It's a tough one to value. But if you're betting on the jockey, you've always won betting side by side with Elon Musk.
Thomas Hayes, thank you. Great having you.